What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 6 of the Natural Selection Podcast. Our glorious host is still on his travels, he's letting us down. He's just enjoying
Dude,
himself way too much down
did
under.
you see his stories today? It looks so lit. Like he was going through some trail and like a road track trail and incredible. The waterfalls I was seeing, I was just like, I'm so jealous of this guy right now.
And he's getting the travelling in, isn't he, before the season starts?
Yeah, yeah, trying to get everything out of the way. I don't blame him though. I don't blame him.
Yeah. How are you, anyways, dude? How's it been going? Obviously, you've had the launch of the
Yes,
coaching,
yeah,
and then I saw
yeah,
some stuff on the Posing Society,
yeah,
showing some of the guys coming on board with that. That's very, very exciting.
yeah. We had a launch. We showed released two coaches today. Well, not this week, and another one going out tomorrow, and then the rest will be next week. But yeah, so far it's going very well. We had a good season so far. I mean, like there's been 3 weekends of shows that I've had clients competing in, and all 3 weekends they've placed first, which is pretty cool to have. And
Amazing.
we've had like two overalls so far, just in the UK side of things alone. So yeah, it's exciting, very very exciting. Yeah, ahead for us.
Well, it just goes to show how important like the posing side of stuff is now. Like
Yeah,
go back 5, 6 years, posing coaches weren't really a thing.
no,
You just kind of learn stuff from like YouTube and kind of got up there and kind of did your best. Like there wasn't specific posing coaching, whereas now it
yeah.
seems to be people are recognizing actually how important it is. Like you put all that hard work in, you diet for 16, 20, 25 weeks, and then if you step on stage and you can't pose properly, but you're up against somebody who naturally can,
It
like
can make a
I've
difference.
seen physiques that when they were just kind of walked out, that guy's going to win. And then they start posing, and the guy
Yeah,
next to
and
him
start
just
seeing the
starts coming
flaws.
to
Yeah,
life and can hide his weaknesses and show his strengths. And suddenly, that guy's getting moved out, and that guy's getting moved into the center just because of being able to showcase your physique better. So it's definitely one of those things that I know I definitely underestimated in my first few seasons, but it's something that I'm concentrating on a lot more.
yeah. I think it definitely makes a big, big difference. Like you said, if someone's got a great physique but they can't display it properly, it just kind of almost feel like you're watching the show. And I saw it, like since I started, I went to PCA Naturals one last weekend, and seeing people on stage that had great physique but couldn't display it properly, just kind of just think, oh, bro, come on, man, you could have taken this class if you just posed properly. So yeah, it's the last thing you want to be doing is like losing the show because you didn't practice your posing or you didn't get your posing at work done. So yeah, it needs to be a lot of attention to be put on it from coming from now on anyway. There's lots of posing coaches across there in like the world now, everywhere. There are some that are very dodgy. I've seen some stuff online which I'm just like, really, you should not be teaching. You should definitely be teaching posing. I'm not the one to call anyone out. Everyone's got their own hustle, so yeah, let them do what they need to do. But there are a lot of accounts I've come across which I'm like, just don't tell people to do that. That is not. That is it's very bad, very very bad.
I actually that I saw somebody put out a video the other day being like, "Why show one calf when you can do
Oh my
both?"
God,
Did you see the same video?
that's
And I
literally what I'm
was
talking
like,
about right now.
because it's in the criteria. Show one calf. That's why.
Literally.
And
Oh my God.
trying
And
to
I was like, oh, please don't. And then it was like, at the end, I was like, yeah, at me for posing. I was thinking, please, no one, please don't do that. It was like, how to
well,
show
it was
both cups. Like,
yeah.
why would you want to do that? Like, you can't balance.
It was the
Like,
fact that was just it. It was that fact that he was there and he was balancing on the balls of his feet. And it's like, so you're telling somebody who probably isn't great at posing, you want them to now hold a position where both calves are engaged, where they're going to be focusing on that because they're unbalanced. What's happening
yeah,
to the rest of the physique? Like,
yeah,
I don't know about you, but if I'm trying to balance up on my toes, my waist control, my hip tilt,
yeah.
my
Everything
like
is out the
engagement of
window.
everything else is just gonna go, which is gonna make the rest of the pose. Well, he's got awesome calves, like which
Yeah.
again, the majority of people out there, one of the big things that you get in the fitness industry is people complaining that their calves don't grow. So yeah,
I
it's
mean,
mad.
the judges will tell you guys, like, anyone that listening, please remember, the judges will tell you, most judges anyway, will say, on your rest shots, they'll say, pose with one foot back, displaying your calves and your hamstrings and so on. So just listen to judges. Don't try and tempt both calves. It's just silly. It does. I don't
Yeah.
know what that guy was
You,
thinking, but
yeah.
bless him.
Making it way more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah, yeah, way too much.
And even
Simplicity.
in a posing routine, like think about how hard it's going to be to get into that position. You're going to be in it for
Yeah,
3 seconds and then moving on to the next one. So
exactly. I mean, like you can do it if you want to do as a transitional move, but I can't imagine you trying to hold like a comparison mandatory pose on your yeah. Just no. I literally saw that the other day, and I was like, oh, please. And I was like, please, no one learn from this. This is such bad advice, such bad advice. But yeah, I'm glad you saw it. I saw it because I didn't want to say anything about it. It's just like it's not my place to say anything. So yeah, it's on you now, mate.
yeah, I don't follow that person. That was straight away. I was like, what even it? Just get off my feed.
How you been anyway? How you been?
Yeah, I've been good. So we had a trip with the family this last weekend. So we had a trip across to Efteling in Holland. So the best way I can describe it is it's somewhere between like Alton Towers and like Disneyland Paris. So we did Disneyland Paris last year, but Efteling, I'd say it's probably there's more choice, more variety than kind of like Alton Towers. But when you go to Disneyland Paris, they've got two parks that are like right next to each other. So you got the Disneyland park and then the
Yeah,
don't know if it's Universal Studios or whatever it is. So that park on the left is more like the bigger rides for like the older kids, whereas Disneyland is more for like the smaller kids. Whereas Efteling, they've got like a nice balance of both.
the two, right? Okay.
There's a lot of stuff for kids between anywhere between actually there was plenty of adults there as well, like some of the bigger rides that were there, because it was just me, my wife and Willow didn't want to go on the big rides, and I was kind of like, you know what, I'm fine with that. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't want to go on that by myself either. So if my teenager was there,
yeah,
like, I'd have had to go on them. But
yeah.
because he wasn't, I could be a little bitch and nobody's going to call me out for it. So, yeah,
And like,
it
yeah,
was
yeah,
still
Willie
fun
doesn't want
anyway.
to do it, so I'm not doing it. That's why I'm not
Yeah,
doing it. Like
yeah.
secretly down, you're like pooing it.
You know, it's the ones where it's like, like Oblivion, where it's like a straight drop.
Right, yeah,
I
yeah,
hate that feeling in my stomach when my stomach lifts up. It just makes me panic. I can do loop the loops, I can do twizzles, I can do anything like that, but anything where it's like straight down and you feel that like negative G force, no, just
yeah.
no. That's not for
You
me.
ever
I'll do it once, but then I won't do it
been
again.
been on a Tower of Terror before from at
Yes,
Disney?
and I hated it. Natalie made me and Willow do that at Disneyland Paris last year. I did it once and was like, no, I'm not doing that again. I hated it. Like in the pictures, like I was more terrified than Willow in the photos, and the queue was really short. So Nat and Josh were like, oh, we'll go and do that again. I was like, absolutely not. I'm sitting out here. I'm sitting my ass down out here. You guys can go on it. And Willow didn't want to do it either, so I was like, "Yeah, I'll stay out here with Willow. It's absolutely fine. Yeah, absolutely fine."
It's got to be the one of it's a terrifying ride. I have to admit, but it's one of those. So obviously before gymnastics before bodybuilding, I like a hardcore cheerleader and was like the world championships every year. Which funny enough is actually on this weekend. So if I was still coaching cheerleading, I would have been basically traveling to. I would have been there since last week. And then we getting ready for to compete this coming weekend. And every year, like the team has to go on it as like a traditional thing. And literally, I'll be sat on there pooing it, and I'm thinking, why am I here, man? I'm back here
Why
again
do I
for
do
the
this to
10th
myself
time.
every year?
Every year, we all like just sit, we all get in there, the whole team, and literally we just wait to see who get it most like who looks the most scared. And I guarantee you, I come close to it every single time. As much as I try to like fake it, but I love that ride, man. It's so good, so good, mate.
Is that in Florida?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
Orlando, yeah.
yeah.
It's really busy at the moment. Like yeah, like I said, it's the World Championships this weekend, so I'm looking forward to seeing who brings some of the world titles this year. So I'll be like watching glued to my phone all weekend, which will be pretty cool.
Do you still like have friends and colleagues that kind of like still coaching?
Yeah, yeah. I still like. I mean, the old club I used to coach. They've got one of the youngest team there this year. They're not competing at the World Championships. They're competing at like a mini like youth kind of different. It's like World Championships, but for like younger kids basically. So it's not like the real world. So they've got them there this weekend. And they've been there, so obviously they've been keeping up us there and stuff like that. And obviously, like I said, I did it for years, so I still have my feed is like cheerleading feed and like bodybuilding feed. So like I see videos of it all the time. Whenever I can, I go in to help out.
Oh, that's
clean
cool,
their
man.
routines and kind of like teaching them skills and stuff. So yeah, it's just very difficult to balance the two.
Yeah,
Bodybuilding
of
and
course.
coaching is just way too much, way too
Yeah.
much.
So you alluded to the fact that the season's officially kicked off now for natural bodybuilding.
Yeah,
So we had PCA Naturals last weekend. I think the Supernaturals first timers.
the novice and first timers. Yeah, that's in June, I believe.
Yeah, yes. So I've been getting loads of their stuff kind of coming up on my feed now. So that's WMBF.
Yeah,
I think the
and
first
then Heart
UK
of England
DFBA
as
show
well.
soon as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Heart
in
of
May, I
England.
think.
And
Yeah,
also, they've got the OCB International in June.
yeah.
Because I think the Heart of England is the last qualifier for that. Oh no, did you compete with the UK DFBA last
No,
year?
I didn't last season. I didn't do UK DFA.
Oh, I placed fifth and still got an invite. I was like, I got the invite in like
Yeah, but
January,
your physics
February.
like is your physics is very good though, so it's not like you're not gonna get an invite.
Yeah. But I was just like, yeah, I'm not. I don't understand why you got like I got qualified at nationals, which was what October last year for a show that's
Yeah.
going to be in June. Like most, I don't know about you, but I'd say
Oh,
most naturals don't compete year
yeah, yeah.
upon year.
So I noticed that. I was thinking, like, why would I mean, they've how they do their thing, but I can't imagine getting an invitation back in October and then waiting around to compete in like May. That's just like crazy. I've always wanted to do it, but like again, it's always like way too early in the season for me
Yeah,
to do that shows. That would have imagine prepping from like for a show in May and carrying all the way to like Wells in November. That would be crazy.
and that's
I love
just it.
competing, but I
Yeah.
could not do that.
But it's just not it's not sustainable to be that lean for that long. Like
Mm.
even prepping for like to be honest, I wasn't really ready until the middle of September. And just holding that condition from essentially the supernaturals to worlds in November, that was hard enough. Imagine going from May to November being what
Yeah,
less than 5% body fat. Like you'd have to like reverse out, bring a little bit of body fat essentially back up and then kind of come back
and then
down.
back down again.
But you're not really giving yourself enough time to do that, though, are you? Because I'm guessing to go to Worlds, you'd then need to be competing in September. So you're diced for May.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd be like a case of bringing it like to maintenance. But even when I was at maintenance, my cardio was still through the roof. So I can't imagine the mental strain that would be on you trying to do that.
Do
But
we know anyone that's actually done that before? Like press from
I've
that
known
early?
people that have done like the Heart of England show and then gone back and done British Nationals in like the October. But he said he really struggled with it because he rebounded out quite hard and then had to dig really hard to then get back in stage condition for nationals. And he was better at the Heart of England show than he was at nationals
Right.
because
It was
he'd
fresh
come
out.
up and then kind of
Yeah.
come back down. He was fresh at the first one, whereas on the second one, because he'd rebounded so hard, they had to diet him harder, which then meant he looked stringy, and he said he wouldn't do it again.
Nah, yeah. I think thinking about it now, I think I remember an athlete that did that, competed pretty much the whole year last year. Prince, I don't know if you know him, he's like a men's physique guy. I remember he started the season very early, and then he still went on to all the way to compete at the British National, like PCA Nationals finals in September. So I was like, and he's competing again this year as well. So I saw him last weekend compete. He won the men's physique overall, and then he competed 2 weeks prior to that to a normal, just like an open PCA show. So I saw him the weekend. I was like, you are something else, man. Like you are literally like an animal, because the fact that you can compete so early and push all the way through. He was like, he said he's gonna take a break this time round, in between the summer and then kind of get ready for the latter half of the year. But I just think it's phenomenal that he can just, yeah, do show after
I think
show.
Joe Van's competing again this year, isn't he?
Is he? I'm excited to see
Yeah.
that. I'm excited to
Yeah.
see that. That's gonna be
Um,
interesting.
well, he what did he get second at Worlds?
I want to say third. I could be wrong though.
Well, he was definitely up there in the top three, and I think that kind
Yeah,
of lit a fire in him. If he wants to be that world champion, I don't think he was far. I think it was very close between the top three guys in
yeah.
that
Yeah,
division.
it was. I mean, like show with Supernaturals when they did the pro show, and then it was great to see them. Man, that whole lineup was insane. There's the Spanish
Yeah,
guy who looked like I have never seen him like a immensely guy with so much tissue on. Like it was just crazy. He was
yeah.
big, big, and Jovan is big. Jovan ain't small at all.
No, German. I couldn't believe how big his arms were, man.
It's
Like, I'd seen
crazy.
pictures and stuff, and obviously just because when you see pictures on the internet, it is different. Like when you
Yeah.
see somebody in person, you're like, "Gee, you're a men's physique guy, and like your arm's the size of my leg. Like, what is even going on?" Like,
Yeah, that actually brings me like a topic to mind that we can actually discuss because like obviously for men's physique guys, do you think they don't? I guess they don't have to diet down so much to bring in their legs. Do you think that has like obviously 'cause for bodybuilding and classic guys, we have to really dig down to bring these us in the legs. Do you think they have the men's physique guys have that size because they don't have to diet down so much, or is it just the genetic? Is it
I think it's probably a combination of both. What I'm seeing more and more is that decent men's physique guys could probably do fairly well in classic.
right?
Like they have that X frame because now you're needing so much more tissue to be competitive as a men's physique guy.
Yeah,
But they just, for whatever reason, they just prefer that category. But I've seen men's physique guys where you can even see through the board shorts that okay, they've got
they're
decent
good
set of
for
legs on
legs.
them.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you get kind of penalised for being too peeled in men's physique, or
I don't know. I don't think you do. Sorry, I don't think you do. But the reason why I brought that up because I was speaking to Kes, Kes from he does like posing as well. I was speaking to him last weekend, and then he mentioned that like obviously his strength is his bubbliness and his shape. Oh, he would love to do classic at some point, maybe this season because he's competing this year. However, it's going to be a case where he's going to have to sacrifice the fullness that he had and bubbliness he had in the upper half to really bring his legs in, which kind of got
okay?
me thinking about the whole topic we're just talking about now. So does that mean that the reason why a lot of men's physique guys are just generally a lot bigger is because they don't have to diet down so much because they can keep the fullness and they have to maintain the fullness to really fit into the category? Is it just genetic? Which is quite interesting because I guess some people are just it depends. Like Chris said the other week, that his legs come a lot earlier than his upper body does, which I find like I think that's just wow because I've never. I would love to have that situation because my legs take forever to come in, and he's like the complete opposite. So I guess it's yeah down to the
I
individual,
was reading somewhere there's a genetic component with that. So
right?
with athletes that have like an African origin,
Right?
we tend to store body fat around the glutes, thighs, and like lower back. Whereas athletes of a more Caucasian origin tend to store more fat kind of like around the belly and the chest. Um, I don't know why. Somebody was telling me about that.
That's
I don't know whether
that's
it's true. I,
interesting.
I could be completely wrong there. But it then, when I was thinking about it, you often see like the bubbly black guys, like
Yeah,
their glutes aren't quite in, they're fucking
yeah,
peeled everywhere. And then you see the Caucasian dry, and it's
yeah, and
like
it's
they
like
turn around, their glutes are
lines everywhere.
striated, but it's still like they just don't have that bubbliness and that fullness. So
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I would judges if any judges are watching this, can you please kind of like consider this when I'm on stage next time, please? Because your boy, I've got like the whole Ghanaian bunda, and it's like it takes a while for my glutes to come in. So please do not penalize me for it. Just reward me, okay? Look at everything else, like ignore my bunda,
brilliant. Okay,
mate.
so I'm trying to think of who else. BMBF, where are the BMBF shows this year? Because one
I
reason I didn't
haven't.
compete with the BMBF last year was
Yeah.
their nationals were in like Scotland somewhere, and I was like, I don't want to travel all the
Yeah, it
way to
was crazy.
Scotland.
It was also the same weekend as PC Naturals, and I wanted because obviously last year was the first time I did BNBF, so I would have loved to have done their finals, but it was all the way in Scotland. I was like, I am not traveling that far. And then it was also
Yeah.
the same weekend as PCA Naturals, which I already registered for. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to just make that decision, just go with PCA. So, but I think their first show, I don't know if the Southern's their first show. It usually is the first show, right?
Yeah.
That's in August because I've got a client that's competing there in Classic, and he said he's registered for it, and it's in August. So I think it's like the start of August for the Southerns. Then it goes.
Yeah.
Is
They
it?
tend to have like a 2 week gap, don't they? So
Yeah, yeah,
they run it over like 6 to 8 weeks, but it's literally one, then the next, then the
yeah,
next
yeah.
through the different regions. Whereas a lot of the other federations have bigger gaps kind of like between them. I know Steph was thinking about putting on another qualifier show. I
The
don't know whether
study,
that'll be
yeah.
this season or next season. Because they want to, like, obviously Supernaturals is having to run over 2 days now. They've obviously got the novices show, but I think they might be looking into doing like a qualifier show. But the WNBF have done it almost the opposite way round to where everybody else does, where they have that obviously that one show that they've then
Yeah,
made really good, and then they've added the other shows in.
yeah,
Whereas
I
all
just
the other
not, yeah.
federations always did feeder shows, and then you've kind of got your British nationals. So I think it's definitely interesting, kind of have a different approach to the same system. Is one better than the other? It's up for discussion. Like I've done both. I don't mind doing qualifier shows, but it's also quite nice, like when you have competed at a national level, that you know that, right, I don't need to now do a qualifier in June,
Yeah,
maintain that through to September, and then if
yeah,
I do
yeah.
well at British Nationals, I've then got to maintain that through to like
That's the one.
November. But I think having those feeder shows, that means that people can dip their toes in, like they don't have to step straight away onto a British national stage. They
Yeah,
can have like a regional show that they can kind of go to and see kind of like where they fit, just because again, like we said before, there's different levels, and if you go straight in at British Nationals and come dead last, it's like, could that be demotivating for someone?
yeah. I mean, I totally understand. I see where the market is for it. They should definitely have another one at the start of the year. Not at the start of the year, but the first part of the season. Just because I feel like, for example, like someone competing at the novice show in November, in June, having to maintain that look all the way through to like supernaturals to then do the British and then to qualify for what. It's a long process. It's a long, long time to kind of really maintain the look. And I think it was similar with PCA Naturals last year as well, where there was like the first Naturals one was like around about this time last year, and then like finals was British finals was all the way in September. So when they got to the British finals, the people that are qualified from early in the week, most of them didn't end up having to like compete. They didn't end up competing because it was just too much of a long process for them to
Yeah,
hold all the way to the end. So yeah, I think having something like that maybe on both ends of the year would definitely benefit. Would be very good. Obviously, if you're gonna go
100%.
to Worlds or like do the main shows, and you can learn. You can then start your prep like later in the year. But then if you
Yeah,
are planning on just if you're ready in prep and you want to compare at the start of the year, so you can rest up. You can enjoy the rest of the summer. Then it also gives you a room to kind of really step on stage.
100%. So I
Yeah,
believe you have some questions for us. My question
I
box is still
do. I
empty.
have a few questions, which is thank you for you all that send them in. I had to harass people to send them in, but we got them today. I don't think I'm going to go through all of them, so we'll get through as much as we can today, and then the next bunch we will try and do them. We'll save them for the next podcast that we film. Right. So, how the first question I've got is how you handle your peak week to stay more peeled. Ah,
Loaded
yeah,
question.
that's yeah.
So there's, first of all, there is multiple different ways to run a peak week. So the best advice I could give would be get in shape early so you can practice your peak weeks, or go in and do a local, regional show, whatever it is, so you can have a practice. So, say Supernaturals is the main show you're going for, there'll be shows
Around
just
that time.
before it,
Yeah,
like a few weeks before it, or whatever it is. So, even if you're not fully in, and you then can have a practice of a peak, because everybody's body responds differently. So I don't know about you, Patrick, but I've tried about two or three different ways of peaking, different lengths of time, whether you're front loading, whether you're back loading, kind of like whatever it is. And what I've also found is season after season, the same peaking protocol doesn't
doesn't
always
work.
work the same.
Yeah,
So you've kind of got to see like how your body reacts, and the more data you can get on that by having a practice first means that you're not going into it blind. Um, I think peaking for naturals is probably a lot easier than the assisted guys, because essentially you've got like three variables, which is reducing training slash stress, increasing carbohydrates, and water manipulation. Now, for a lot of people, I think they try and overdo the water manipulation. Ultimately, you need sodium and you need potassium to get that fluid into the muscle. And I know I've heard some horror stories of people like completely cutting water from like 2 days out and stuff like that. And
yeah, that's
if
mad.
you do that,
That's
you're
crazy.
not going to be a happy bunny. And also, you're probably coming quite flat. So, like for me personally, the peaking protocol that I found worked really well for me this last season. So if I was competing on the Sunday, I would start. So we'd be reducing cardio from the Wednesday. So I'd train normally up until Wednesday. Wednesday's like my final, well, would have been my final leg No, I'd do one of my leg sessions for early in the week, which is Monday or Tuesday. On Wednesday, cardio would get dropped in half, and I'd start increasing my water intake. So something like 6 or 7 liters of water Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then into Saturday.
Can
But it'd be
we
like
elaborate on the water intake? Because I think like it'd be very interesting for people to understand the purpose of the water and the need of it.
So the idea behind it is that you're loading up on water. So if you just randomly tomorrow drank 6, 7, 8 liters of water, you will literally need to wee every half an hour. Inside your body, your water excretion hormones will be elevated. So if you do that for for a few days, though, because those hormones have been elevated for a number of days, they will stay elevated even if you then cut your water back right down. So for me, on a normal day, I will drink 4 or 5 liters of water anyway. So for it to be above a normal amount, we're talking like 6, 7. But I'd also make sure that I'm adding a little bit of electrolytes at least into one of those, or else you just kind of flush all of that out. Make sure that you're getting sodium and potassium in, so the water's actually kind of getting into the cells as well. So that was Wednesday through Saturday. I'd then drink, I think it was 3 liters of water before midday on the Saturday, and then I would cut water except for little sips, like as I was thirsty. So I wouldn't be drinking it down. Probably be 3 liters before lunchtime, and then maybe 500 mils then for the rest of the day. And then when I woke up on show day, again, it'd be little sips if I was having a meal or if I needed a drink. I shouldn't be thirsty, but I'm also not drinking a normal amount of water. So the idea behind it is you do that at the same time as obviously loading carbohydrate in. So I found about 1,000 grams of carbs over. So if I'm competing on the Sunday, it'd be 1,000 grams of carbs split over Thursday and Friday, and then I'd pull my carbohydrates back down to my normal dieting level on Saturday, because obviously as you're then decreasing the water, you don't want that carbohydrate to be sitting around in that extracellular fluid.
Yeah,
And I found that was what worked best for me, is a 2 day load, and then one day bringing food essentially kind of like back down to
baseline.
maintenance levels. So we've filled up, but what it would also do is if I ever overspilled slightly,
It's
because
time
my
to, yeah.
carbs have come back down to essentially where they were for dieting, like
Yeah,
any extra carbohydrate, my body would then use for energy. And would kind of, it would help dry me out. And often I'd find, especially if I was competing at like lunchtime or later, I'd then get drier through the day up until competing. And again, just like yourself, it'd be sending photos. I found I didn't really need to eat that many extra carbs. It was more a little bit of carbs, a little bit of fats, just to kind of keep that fullness and make sure that I was still eating something on a
yeah,
show day. Because sometimes, especially if you're in the open categories, you might not be on stage till 5, 6, 7 p.m.
yeah. You definitely long day, a long,
Yeah.
long day.
And what about yourself? Have you kind of played around with some different ways?
So we've had like, I want to say this if I forget it. Like also the whole water intake, it also helps flush out any fatigue and stuff like that. It helps flush out so you're a bit more fresh. And I find that the fresher you are, the more your body's going to respond to the food that you're taking in. So that's the main purpose of like pushing up the water, to really kind of flush out any fatigue and keep you fresh. Okay, obviously you don't want to overdo it, because then you start washing out all the micronutrients and all that stuff that you need to kind of really help build the look you want to do. But I think for me, again, we've tried all different types of approach of peaking. It's just down to the individual and what you like and what works for you. And also, it depends on, it's not the same every season. Because one season you might try like loading at the start of the week, and then the following year you might try the same thing and it will not work. So it kind of, you have to really adapt to different situations to make it work. I personally prefer, same like you, 2 day load, then back up to like a baseline, and then yeah, get ready for the show. I hate front loading because I find that it can be, for me mentally, kind of, it can be very draining. Because when I start seeing the scale weight like kind of like moving about, then I start panicking, thinking, oh my gosh, we've done something wrong. So I'd rather just kind of do pro fast at the start of the week, and then 2 day load, then the day to kind of like really chill and kind of go back baseline and get back into time for the show. So yeah, that's what I prefer. But yeah, there are multiple ways of peaking. Just gotta practice and find what suits you really. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
my
and I
two
think
cents.
that's the biggest mistake I see people making is they start throwing crazy shit in like 3 days before the show, and they don't. So they'll add foods in that they've not eaten for 6 months. Or they'll eat like a packet of like sweets. They've not had sugar in what 12 weeks, and suddenly they're eating a pack of jelly babies like before they're going on stage. And it's like, and then you wonder why your gut blows out because you've literally not eaten sugar for 3 months, and now you've just had a load of refined sugar kind of going in. Some people can get away with it, others can't. So if you're going to
Yeah.
do that, you need to practice it beforehand to make sure that you're not going to blow out your digestive system.
I've seen a lot of random stuff. I've seen like the whole in salt and vinegar like before you go on stage, salt and vinegar crisp. I know one guy. Oh my gosh, my flatmate will back me up on this. This guy was eating biscuits as it's like it's carb up, and we would look at each other thinking, "Are you okay? Like you've not had this your entire prep, and you think that's going to be the right thing to carb up on? Like so, if anyone's watching, do not eat biscuits as a source of carbs. It's not good. That is not good. Just don't do that. Don't do that. Like
I
it
think
was
my
literally bad.
my go-to is obviously it's like rice cakes and peanut butter
Yeah,
because
very
I have
simple.
those, or I buy the rice cakes with the dark chocolate that's actually on it.
Right. Okay.
Because I eat dark chocolate and I eat peanut butter and I eat rice cakes all through prep anyway, so
Yeah.
I know that's not going to upset my stomach. Um, but yeah, it's when people start throwing like, or when they, what do they call it, the dirty load, where they go out and they have essentially a cheat meal like the night before, and it's basically it's the sodium and the carbs that are going in, but it could go so wrong.
It could.
Like,
It could. I mean, I've done it before and it actually worked. But again, this was like a back-to-back weekend, like back-to-back show. So I had like a show the weekend before, and I had another weekend, but it was like two shows on the same weekend. So we had to find a way to do it to make it work, and it worked. But I wouldn't risk it again. It was too like yeah. I got
and then
lucky,
the
I think.
stress
Otherwise,
because
yeah.
you're feeling guilty because I've just had a cheat meal the day before a show, and now my cortisol's through the roof.
Literally, like you don't want that, man. You don't want that. Right. So I'll move on to. We've got quite a few questions about peak week. Like someone just asked about salt rotation in peak week. Honestly, just stick to the same amount of salt that you have. There's no need to fucking change it. If you've
Yeah.
been having the same thing, 5 grams. Let's say you've had 5 grams, like spread out through your day. Stick with that. Like you don't need to manipulate it anymore. That's
I think
advanced.
if you start trying to mess with sodium and potassium and stuff like that, like you're adding too many variables in. Um, and if you add too many variables in, you're not 100% clear on what is causing what. So
Exactly that.
essentially, you want to try and keep it as simple as you can. And again, practice it. So if you do one practice run where you're running this many carbs, keep the salt the same. If it works quite well or it doesn't work quite well, maybe on the next run you run the same amount of carbs, but you do a little bit less salt and a little bit more water or whatever it is. Like, and what I would always do is just make sure you've got a third party, whether it's your coach, if you've got one, or somebody you trust within the industry that's done one of these before, because your decisions when you are that depleted will be
Yeah.
bad. So you want to make sure that you're running it past somebody who's probably thinking a little bit more clearly and will tell
Yeah.
you off if you start doing stupid shit.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. It's like you can't, if you've never picked your soul before. I mean, I know people that have like picked themselves before, but try and get a second opinion. And even the people that have done it themselves, they always ask for a second opinion. I know a guy that competed not long ago, a couple of weeks ago, who was peaking himself, and they reached out to me and I was like, hey, blah, blah, what do you think? Should I do this? Should I do that? We assessed the situation. I was able to kind of give my input without jeopardizing the scenario. Do you know what I mean? So always ask someone for the second opinion if they've done it before, they've been in that position before, because it always helps. Right. We've got a question here from Dave. Dave is an icon. I love Dave, man. Dave
Good old
Hozo, that's
Dave.
his Instagram.
Everyone knows a Dave.
Everyone knows
He's
a
always
Dave,
a
but Dave,
legend as
Dave, this is
well.
our Dave. Dave is like the legend, man. Like big guy in the nutty scene. What are the signs that you and your team use to tell if you are stage ready? We've got some very good questions this evening, mate.
Yeah, I'm guessing it depends on the person, the category.
Yeah,
Like, obviously, for bodybuilding or classic physique, you're going to look at those areas that are normally sort of the last places to come in, which
yeah,
is going to be like glutes, lower back generally. Like, most people, you'll see striations through like the chest and the shoulders, like way before you're starting to see kind of those details starting to come in on, like, as I said, your glutes and your lower back, and particularly like the lower abs.
yeah,
So, and it's one of those things of it's having that coaching eye. So, having worked with numbers of people, you start to kind of get an eye for, and also when you've been working with the same person for weeks, months, and months, you get to know them and their body. Where is their stubborn parts? Where's the last bit that is kind of going to come off? And ultimately, it's going to depend, as I said, on the category that they're doing and sort of like the level that they're wanting to kind of like be at. Like,
yeah,
I think the gold standard thing now is basically having your glutes in.
yeah, yeah,
But some people genetically, like Kris was saying, his legs come in before his upper body. So for Kris, you'd probably be looking at the areas that he knows are kind of like those last bits to come in.
yeah, yeah. I don't think like that. I think for like one thing we started doing last season that I found very helpful and kind of helped me know that I'm on track was we started recording our bedtime weight and our morning weight. So we knew where our weight. So what? Because we knew the weight difference from the morning weight to bedtime weight, it kind of helped us track that we were on the right path to being ready for the stage. Do you know what I mean? So whereas if let's say for example when I think it was very evident that that helped a lot when I was in Singapore, because 2 days out from the show, like my bedtime weight was like my bedtime weight is usually around about 76, and 2 days before my bedtime weight was I was going to bed and I weighed myself and I was still 74. I straight away I was messaging my coach like yeah, we like 2 kilos off where we need to be, and then we was able to know that okay, cool, we need to fill up a bit more to kind of push to get to that, get close to it, and we had some more food and some more fluids to really fill up. And then once we got close to it, we woke up in the morning and it was right, it's landed exactly how we needed to land. Whereas if we hadn't monitored that, I could have gone to bed and woke up very flat, and then it would have been too late to try and fill up. I mean, so I think introducing your like your body weight the night and the morning of your peak week will also give you help give you really good feedback in terms of knowing that you're on track.
Yeah, I've not heard that before, so that's
Yeah,
I've learned
if you
something new
haven't,
there.
bro, honestly, it's very helpful. So that therefore give that a go. Your next prep, I think, is going to help you a lot. Right, we're going to move on to the next question as we go through. Like I said, what is the hardest part of prep? Well, that's from Back. Back is from like I love Back. He's a funny guy. I think for me, the hardest part of prep for me is therefore peak week, because I love training and peak week is pretty much like feels like a deload week and I freaking hate it. Like you just can't train and like it's playing your mind thinking, oh, but I'm not training, and I know you're not supposed to train. I know we're supposed to rest to kind of recover because you've done the job already. But where like in my mind, I start thinking, what if this person is doing more than me? Someone else doing more than me, and then they're gonna come on stage and like because they worked harder than me, they might beat me. Do you know what I mean? That's what plays up in my head. And even though it shouldn't, it always happens. And I don't tell, like I stick to what I'm told to do during peak week, but that I find peak week is very difficult because I can't train and I love training. The only that side for me that I don't like. And obviously, no one likes doing cardio, but it needs to be done because if you want to live in coming condition, you cannot skip up your cardio. But yeah, it's not fun, but it gets done. What about you?
It's probably similar, so it's not specifically peak week, but it's the what do they call it? Like comparison syndrome. Like when you're in prep, you get so like focused on get leaner, and then because it's the middle of the bodybuilding season, you start to see everybody else that's also
Yeah,
in prep. And then you
yeah,
see these amazing physiques and you're like, holy shit, this guy's so much better than me. Like I'm so far behind, and basically the mental games that kind of go into it as you're starting to compare yourself to other people. But what I've often found is those people that I'm comparing myself against, they're not in my weight class. So I'm looking
yeah,
at them and they're two fucking weight classes higher than me. Of course they're bigger than me. Like they've got another 10 kilos of body weight on their frame.
yeah. That is so real.
So
That actually is so real. Like you find yourself like comparing yourself to like even it's like Olympians, they're surging up. Like, why are you comparing yourself to Olympian? You're never going to be on the same stage as them right now. You are still an amateur, so why are you comparing yourself to them? I saw, yeah, but he had glue lines there already, and that man hasn't been coming. I'm like, bro, get your head out of the gutter, man. This is not. You're not even on the same path as them, so relax. But I do agree with you. That whole comparison.
I think it's one of those things for those guys out there. Like, it sometimes might even be worth setting up like a secondary Instagram account. That's like, you don't post on it, you just use it to watch stuff, but go and follow stuff that makes you feel good about yourself. Don't follow food porn. Worst thing you can do
Oh
when you're
no,
dieting.
yeah.
That's another thing. When my algorithm picks up that I'm hungry and starts showing me all this amazing food that I can't eat, and then physiques. So on the one hand, you've got all the food that you want to eat, and on the other hand, you've got all these amazing physiques that make you feel shit about the fact that you're like not where you need to be, and it just messes with your
Oh,
head.
bodybuilding is really doing numbers on us, isn't it? It's like
Yeah, pretty
every
much.
corner you look. I think I think like if you are someone that is very inclined to like getting caught up in all this social media stuff, then the best thing to do is just to avoid it. Just like switch your social media for like a week if you need to. Like I know a lot of people like to document their entire prep on social media and like I'm 10 days out, I'm 11 days out. This is what like honestly, no one cares. That's the reality of it. No one generally cares. They just don't care about how much you're suffering or how much calories you're on and stuff like that. Yeah, if you want to document it, make it. I get it. I get why people do it because they like watch the journey back. I mean, that's why I document some of my prep online, but I'll post my prep stuff after the season's finished. I mean, just because I want to have it something to look back and be like, oh, 10 years from now, I'll be like, oh man, I actually did that. Do you know what I mean? But like, I never really document my prep just because I feel like it adds unnecessary pressure. Like, you've got all eyes on you, and it's like it just kind of pushing up. It's really like you think you have to do it, and it takes all the fun out of it. Like, keep it low key, man. And like, generally, the judges don't care. No one cares. Like, they like to pretend they are okay and they're following you, but they don't care. Just do your own thing. Get out of the habit of just feeling like you want to try and prove to the entire world or get all eyes on you for approval. It's just so shit. It ruins the whole experience, man.
Yeah, 100%. I could agree with that. And again, it's one of those things where I think some people do get into bodybuilding for the wrong reasons. They get into
Yeah,
it for clout. It's like that guy that asked if you can make money through bodybuilding, and it's like
yeah,
if you're asking that question,
yeah. You're
this
doing
is
the wrong
probably
thing. Yeah,
not the sport for you because there's a lot of suffering and there's not a lot of
rewards.
monetary reward until you have gone through literally years of it. And you're going
I
to have to delay that gratification so far that you're probably not going to be able to get through those tough sessions.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm gonna. Okay, so we got how should we decide which song? This is about posing. We answer that posing stuff like another time. I'll answer those ones maybe on my story and stuff like that because it's like we got quite some very important questions I want to go through. Which one of them was? Do you know? I think what do you know now that you wish you knew 5 years ago before you started bodybuilding? But like that's the question. What do you know now that you wish you knew before you started bodybuilding?
Uh,
There is so much in it.
so if I go back to myself 5 years ago, just be patient. Probably stop trying to rush the process. Like, it is a process. Like, you see so many guys now that are like it's their rookie season, first season ever, road to pro. Like, and it's like one, you haven't earned your stripes. Two, you haven't stood
Yeah,
on stage next to a group of people yet to be able to know and be at bodybuilding condition. Like, first of all, can you get there? Like, people think like dieting, oh, it's just a diet. It's not just a diet. Like, it will
yeah,
test you mentally. It probably tests you mentally more than it tests you physically. Like, at the end of the
yeah,
day, losing fat is not hard. You eat less and you move more. It's the mental strain of purposefully doing that to yourself, basically going against your physiology. Like, if you are starving, your body does not want to hold on to muscle mass. Like, bodybuilding
exactly.
is literally the opposite of what physiologically wants to happen because mentally you're crazy enough to lift fucking really heavy weights while you're also in a restricted calorie deficit.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's one of those things of just don't put so much pressure on yourself. Like, to do well. Just go to be better. Like, and if you do that enough, you will eventually do well.
I think like you just hit a nail on the head there. Like the whole point about people, some people like what's the phrase where they say like you're running before you can walk, almost like yeah. And I saw one today. I don't know if you must have seen it everywhere. There's a guy that is doing American guy doing the whole not aching. I think he's trying to
Yes.
start.
Did you see? Oh, are you talking about the video where he says, "I've got more talent than Arnold"?
Yeah. Oh my
My
God. And that was the most cringiest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. So when I start, bear in mind, this guy has not even stepped on stage yet, ever stepped on stage. I love what he's doing, and I love what the movement is trying to do, but that whole message about I'm gonna be bigger than Arnold, like, and all this stuff, I'm just like, bro, relax,
It's one
relax,
of those
man.
things. I get you need to blow your own trumpet.
There is blowing
But
your own trumpet, and there's been that
and
was
there's
not,
insulting the godfather of
yeah,
bodybuilding that essentially
yeah,
made bodybuilding what it is. Like you don't do that because you're gonna turn the entire industry against you. Like
yeah. And I'm not being bad mind or anything like that. I've seen his. When I saw the video, I was like, pardon? I had to go. Let me just go and watch his page because this guy must have some insane physique that is for him to be talking like that. And I went on his page and he looks, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, but don't hate me on it. And no one hates me on it. But I think he's so mid, and I genuinely feel like even if it's in the UK, he will struggle to make it on top in the UK, let alone the entire world, and say that he's gonna step on and become bigger than Arnold. I was just like, bro,
and
really?
also Arnold was assisted.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. How are you gonna be bigger than him?
he
That's
was
what I was.
popping
I was like, is this guy
D-ball
okay
like
in the head?
bloody Skittles. Like, yes, the amount of drugs that those guys were on were lower because they weren't blasting as much as the guys do nowadays, but they were still on anabolics in the 70s. They just bloody
To boldly
insulin
make
hadn't
that
come in yet.
statement, I'm gonna be bigger than Arnold. I just think, ah, okay, this is interesting. I was like, bear in mind, this guy has not even stepped on stage yet. Yet he thinks he's gonna. Yeah, just anyway. I wish you all the best,
Yeah.
bro, and I really hope you do well. But I think you
There's
need
a
to
very
practice.
fine line between confidence and arrogance.
And yeah, and that comes across very, very arrogant. You don't want that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our my one thing I wish I learned before I started bodybuilding was understanding like nutrition. I wish I knew a bit more about that before I started bodybuilding because I've learned so much the last 5 years like about nutrition. Which if knew that growing up or like before bodybuilding, I feel like I could make a huge difference in my physique and my well-being anyway. So yeah, that's my answer to that. That was from Tiana. Thank you, Tiana, for that question. Right. The rest we've got a bunch of questions about food, which I'm gonna skip for now. I'm gonna try and really dig on like them big like important questions.
Oh, I've got one question. It's come
Go
through.
ahead. Let's go. Let's go ahead.
Right.
I can read
So
through it.
this one's from Ollie B 1987. Thanks, Ollie. Maybe too late, but what would be the number one tip you'd give to someone trying to build after 35? I'm guessing he means 35 years of age.
Right.
So I am 35. I think it's a really common misconception that you can't build muscle after 35. Like we've seen it at bodybuilding shows. As some of the masters guys look absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Like they look better than some of the well, they go on the open stage and they go toe to toe with guys that are 10, 15 years younger
Yeah.
than them. So it's one of those things where it's never too late to start. If you trained, say, when you're in your 20s, oh, I've knocked my phone off. If you trained when you're in your 20s and then you've had, say, 5, 6 years out, and then you come back, and muscle memory is a real thing. Like, you will regain muscle way faster than the first time that you ever built it. Now, the changes you're going to need to make 35 plus is you're not going to be able to train like you did when you were 20. Your joints, your connective tissues, your spine, everything like that is, especially if you've had time out of the gym, you're not going to be able to go in and train how you used to when you were 20. You're going to have to spend more time working on things like mobility, making sure that you don't that you address any muscle imbalances, and that essentially you're counteracting your lifestyle. If you're a 35-year-old office worker that's sat in a desk 8 hours a day, like you're probably not going to be able to jump in 2 weeks in and be squatting 100 120 kilos straight away off the bat, because your lower back will not thank you for it.
Yeah.
So, best bit of advice I could give is, if you're over 35 and you've been out of the gym for a while, get some help. Go and find a good quality, either personal trainer or online coach, that's going to help you rebuild those systems and those habits, and walk before you can run. So don't just jump straight back into your 5-day bro split that you used to do. Like, you're probably going to have to build up as if you're a newbie again. So
Yeah.
start out with full body workouts, just trying to train 2 or 3 days a week. And then as your body gets more used to it again, you can start going to like an upper body, lower body split, and potentially training 4 days a week. But your ability to recover is going to be different than it was. So
Yeah.
build slowly and find that new level that you're able to recover from with where you are in life right now.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And also, you have to remember, like, age is just a number. Like, age is literally just a number when it comes to bodybuilding. So you can always, like, if you can commit, you can put the work in. That's one of the reward things about bodybuilding, because the work you put in the gym is displayed on your physique, and you can always tell. So there's nothing limiting you from achieving the physique that you would like to achieve. I think we've got enough time for at least 2 more questions, and that's about it.
Yep.
Like, I think we've been
Yep,
through
far away.
so the next question, which I think is very, very good, was from Tivonia, and she's asking, what would you like the future to look like for your division?
I'm an open bodybuilder, so it's
Yeah.
been the same for the last 50 years. Like,
I think that's probably more directed at, for me. I'm not talking about classic
for classic,
division anyway.
yeah.
I think, like, what I would like to see for the future is like to have more consistency in what the look is, because we've seen too many times that on different stages where there isn't there's been so many different looks that people class as classic that have won the divisions, but there hasn't been like any set consistency in like what the actual look is. So I think if we were to use myself for an example, because that's one thing I wanted to do. One of the reasons why I did multiple shows last year, because I kind of wanted to help set the standard for what classic was, and I feel like the shows that I won kind of help kind of shape, give everyone an idea of what the classic look is. But at the same time, when it got to like some different stages, it was totally different look. It was overlooked. There isn't really a set look that defines what classic is, and that's what's very frustrating for us athletes. So we would like to actually see that in the future, and to have like a set, like having basically know what, if someone walked into walked into the gym or walked into like a show, they should be able to tell the difference between what an open bodybuilder is and what a classic guy is, and that is the
I was
issue.
going to say, I don't know if you saw, what was it? I can't remember. I saw it on Instagram earlier. It's a guy that's just won his IFBB Pro card. As he was walking out to receive it, he had like a bit of a bubble gut.
Yeah,
And yeah, you saw the video.
Yeah,
I think he was making a good point of, like, when we think of classic, you're thinking of like 70s, 80s, like Milos, Frank Zane, that sort of look.
Yeah.
Whereas that guy was an open bodybuilder. He was just competing in classic physique, but he was an open bodybuilder. He shouldn't be
Hands
being
down, yeah.
rewarded for being an open bodybuilder in the classic division. And I think that somewhere they are going to have to draw a line of, because I think because classic is now getting more popular than open, some guys that would have done open are now moving into classic because it's the trendy thing to do, even though they don't have the classic lines. Like, I don't think my physique fits into a classic physique. That's one of the reasons why I don't compete. Posing isn't a strength of mine. Like, if you want to be a classic physique athlete, you're gonna have to nail your posing.
Yeah.
And you've got to have that classic look. And it's really hard because, like, you can't, it's weird, like, trying to nail it down because it's such a subjective sport as well. Like, trying to nail down what that is to everyone is going to be really difficult.
Yeah, I think it's like, if you walk in a room now and you have like a men's physique guy there and a bodybuilder, you can tell the difference straight away, right? We need to have that definition between classic and bodybuilding, because yes, sometimes you can see the difference, but at the same time, we go on stage and then the size is rewarded over someone with a classic shape, and this is what gets very contradicting. So they really need to define that class. So I would love to see that in the future, to have a specific look that defines classic, or for people to be able to tell the difference. That if a stranger walked into the studio, walked into the gym, or walked into like a show, they should be able to tell who a classic guy is, who a bodybuilder is, and who a men's physique guy is. End of. That's literally how it should be done.
Definitely.
Right. And the last question I'm going to answer is, we've got one that said, what's your favorite federation? But I'm not going to answer that because we love all your federation. We love everyone, don't we?
Yes, equally.
All of you, equally.
However, we are both
How,
WMBF pros, so
yes. We have to just be a bit unbiased and try and accept everyone. But yeah, with that said, last question we're going to ask is, do you think there will ever be a natty Mr. Olympia?
no.
No, 100%. That's just, I can't see.
So
We would love to see
one
how.
thing, one thing that Natty King is trying to do is like unify that we have like essentially a natural Mr. Olympia. But I think he's being a
It's
bit
still not the
naive to
same.
the politics that happen
Yeah.
within federations. And I'm not being funny, the NPC gatekeep it. So, like, as soon as you're an NPC, or sorry, an IFBB pro, you ain't competing anywhere else. So
Yeah,
then
you're not
there's
allowed to.
always going to
Yeah.
be a thing of, well, would the WMBF world champion beat the IFBB world champion? Different set of judges.
Yeah.
We won't ever know. But he also wants to take then that natty world champion and get them to stand on stage next to an assisted world champion and then be compared. If you're comparing them on bodybuilding criteria, not being funny, the assisted guy's winning that hands down every single
Every
time.
single pose,
Like,
every single shot. Like, do you know what
like even world class natties, like, yeah, they can go to regional, sometimes even national level shows and do really, really well. Like, look at the Arnolds, look at the Olympia. They had a couple of natural athletes there, and they walk out on stage, and people go, "Who the fuck is this guy? Why is this guy on stage?"
I mean?
Like,
Yeah. Oh
for
my
a
God.
natural, they look absolutely insane. But next to the assisted guys, they look like a child.
It's night
Like,
and day difference. It's generally it's night and day difference. I did not think it was going to be that different. Like, kudos to like Josh Ortiz, incredible. And I mean, like, he did not look at our place, but he still looked at our place. Doesn't make sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, he looked incredible on stage, Arnold's, but again, like, you can still tell the difference. I mean, which is like a shame because he's an incredible athlete, and it doesn't take away from that what he's done and what's achieved. Fucking love that guy. Honestly, big, one of his biggest fans. So respect to him for that. But then you go to the classic division, for example. There's also a natural guy in the classic division from Canada, and he is good. I mean, he's a Canadian pro, so he's very good. But it was night and day difference between him and the rest of the lineup, and you just make you think, yeah, we would get smoked. So to answer your question, we could never win. A natural guy would never win the Olympia. That is just the sad truth. We're
unfortunately.
all counting
But,
on Toyton at the moment.
yeah.
Toyton, please, you have to be
Yeah.
our guy. We just want Toyton to get there for us one day. But yeah, I can't
It's
see that
a,
happening.
they are pretty much different sports. Like,
Yeah,
they are the same, but you can't. Well, it's like in the Olympics, men and women competing. Like,
yeah,
there's a reason why you've got those separated divisions because there is enough of a difference in performance that if you stuck men and women in the same arena together, the men will win 90. Like, it's why the whole, I'm not going to get into the trans debate, but it's why the whole trans debate is there,
yeah,
because of the physiological difference that happen at puberty between men and women. We're not going to
yeah.
discuss that. I don't want to get cancelled. We've managed to have nothing controversial this whole episode, and I
I
had to
mean, like,
open my mouth. But yeah.
I mean, like I mean, we might get cancelled about a couple of episodes ago, but we'll see. We'll see when it comes out. But yeah, we will leave the questions there. But the rest of them, we'll get to them on the next pod, which will be next week. As we've run out of time. We actually gone over our time, but yeah. Thank you all for the questions you sent in. We've got quite some very good ones and some very meaningful ones. So we'll get to them. I'll save all of them and we'll try and answer them next time.
Yeah, we appreciate that, guys, and thank you. And as always, like, subscribe, show some love, put some stuff in the comments. I know Kris reads them all and he screenshots them to us in our little group chat as well when people do comment. So we do
And
really appreciate all the spark.
you're allowed to come call Kris any name in the world in the comment section for missing 3 episodes in a row.
Right, guys, we'll catch you next week.
All right, take care. Bye.